Nah, it's where you take these post-it notes and you take a post-it note and say, hi, you know what I'm saying? For me, hi, my name is Raemon. I have a quick question about your property. Give me a call when you get an opportunity. You just go up to the door, stick it on the door.
Yo, welcome back to the Deal Divers podcast, where we deep dive actual closed deals to uncover the knowledge and gems that you can use and apply to your wholesale business to close your next deal. I'm your host, Ty the Investor, and this is episode 11 of the Deal Divers podcast. And on this episode, I have a very, very, very special guest who just closed his first wholesale deal for a good amount of money. I ain't gonna talk. I'm gonna let him tell you. But before we jump into that, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you found this video helpful. And that's the overall purpose of the Deal Divers podcast, right? Is to talk to different people and deep dive these deals so you can, figure out how to navigate certain situations so you can apply it and close your next deal. So without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna bring my guy Raemon on this thing. Raemon, what's going on, brother?
What's the word, Ty? You almost got it. Just Raymond.
Raemon.
Raymond.
Damn. See, I got a buddy named Ramon. His is spelled Ramone. But
Yeah.
your mom moved the letter around.
Yeah,
She
yeah. She
took
put
the
that.
E from the back and put it in the middle after the
There
A.
was a debate that occurred between her and my pops, man. And that's how that ended up happening. Of course, she
Nah,
won.
but we're gonna get it right though.
It's all good.
Raymond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome to the podcast, man. How you feeling?
Man, appreciate you for having me, man. I feel great, man. I feel blessed. I'm excited to, you know what I'm saying, to continue this journey. Yeah, to really, really, really dig in here and, take this thing to the next level. So super excited, man. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. I want to kind of get into a little bit of your background because I think, everybody's story is different and is very unique, and people can kind of relate to certain situations that people kind of were in or still in or working in. So, before you close your deal, let's talk about kind of, what are you in wholesaling full time, part time? What's your situation now?
Yeah, as it currently stands, I'm in wholesaling part time. My goal is to shake free from, the W-2 so I can get into it full time. This is it's my end all be all. Real estate is my end all be all. So yeah, I'm working to try to get free of this W-2 where I am currently to be
Mhm.
able to dive into this, deeper.
Absolutely. And what market are currently in right now that you work in?
I am, man. I'm currently in Austin, Texas, in the Central Texas market. Austin, Round Rock, Killeen, Temple, that area.
Okay, cool. So
Mhm.
anybody who's operating in the Texas market in those areas, make sure you connect with Raymond, and
Yeah,
work with him. He get, like I said, he got buyers and all that stuff in the area. Obviously, he just closed
but
his first deal. But I want to get into kind of the beginning. Like first, how did you come across wholesaling to begin with?
I think kind of like a lot of us, man. YouTube and social media. Um, Discovered it through what was the guy? His name was Dolmar Cross, I believe is what his name was.
Yep, yep.
He's out of what, Tampa. So yeah, discovered him on YouTube, and actually I discovered him because I was doing a Turo business.
Hmm.
And I saw a video that he did about Turo, and then in that Turo business, at the end, there was a marketing about real estate wholesaling and what he was doing there, and so that's where I got introduced to wholesaling. I actually ended up paying for a course with him and took a what was it, a one week long virtual wholesaling course with him.
Hmm.
That was my introduction into wholesaling, and that was what, April of 22 is when I took that.
April 22. Okay, got you,
Mhm.
got you. So what kind of attracted you to wholesaling specifically?
One, I have a lot of friends who are in the real estate business, in one way or another, whether they're realtors or I've got a couple of friends that are just investors, contractors, and they talk about it all the time. And whenever we would get together in group settings, to hear them kind of go in and talk about and just see kind of the freedom and and the stuff that they had, I was like, yo, this is where I need to be. Like, this is the space that I need to be in because I really want my time freedom. So I want to be like them. I want to be able to, middle of the day, just be able to like, yo, let's go pull up and have some drinks somewhere, man, and talk business,
Right. I
Yeah.
feel that. So you say
Mhm.
you started kind of like what, April 2022 is kind of when you first discovered it and got into it essentially?
Yeah, April of 22 is when I first discovered and got into it. I took that course, like I said, that April, and then immediately, just dove kind of in head first, trying to figure out the virtual wholesaling thing. It was challenging, of course, because I was, working a full-time job.
Mhm.
My now wife was pregnant at that time. So, time was limited, but I was like, I'm gonna figure this thing out. I think like many of us, I went through so many different frustrations, trying to figure this thing out, trying to make it work. Dive in 100 miles an hour, pull back to doing zero, no marketing, no nothing.
Mhm.
Um, to now, officially having this first deal closed.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. Was there a period in which, because from April 22 to now, obviously that's been over a year.
Yeah.
Was there a time period where you got like after you took the course, learned about it, started taking action, did you kind of like stop in between that and kind of got a little bit like off the trail and a little bit unmotivated?
100% on a number of occasions. I stopped because of things like, I would get warm. I would have a conversation with, a potential seller. Something wild, wonky would happen. The deal would fall apart. I would just find myself getting frustrated and just being like, you know what, I don't have time for it. Like, again, talking about, my wife being pregnant at that time, we had a son. Our son, spent the first 2 years of his life. He was born April of 21. I said she was pregnant. He was born April of 21, and for the first 2 years of his life, man, we spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital. He had to have 5 surgeries. What I'm saying, during that
Wow.
time. So kind of life things happening. It was too much. It was too much stress. I was like, you know what? The bills are being paid by this job, so that's where my primary focus is going to be in this particular space in this particular moment. So, yeah, definitely started and stopped quite a few times. Unfortunately, leading up into this space where I got that first deal, my marketing was not consistent at all.
Right. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, so priorities you had higher priorities rather than to focus on wholesaling, which took away from your time and all that too. So now
Hmm.
what was it that kind of got you back on the path? Obviously, I'm sure, things started getting better and, with your son and all these different things health wise. What got you back on the path to be like, okay, all right, I'm locked in. I'm gonna get this thing done no matter what. What was that shift? What made you shift to get
Well,
that mindset?
yes, certainly. So the primary piece was I always said that this was the end all be all. I said there wasn't another option. So whether I started and stopped, I was eventually going to get to a space where I was going 100 miles an hour. But coming into this year, January, um, I had my best bro, his mother got sick, who, what I'm saying, this is a brother to me, so this is a mother to me. She got sick, she went into the hospital. My sister, she got sick, she went into the hospital, same time. And then when all of that was happening, I went down with a bad back, man. My back just went out on me, bro. And I ended up spending the first 2.5 weeks of January this year laid out on the floor. What I'm
Wow.
saying, looking up at my wife, looking up at my son, sleeping on the floor, eating on the floor. I was working from home, so working on the floor, and just looking up at people, looking down, of course, at me, people that depend on me and they're looking down at me. And then I've got all these people sick and all these things. I'm like, I don't know like what my time looks like. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what my time looks like as far as, I mean, obviously I'm not trying to be morbid, but I'm saying like
Yeah, yeah.
it's not a good feeling to know I got people that are sick, I'm down bad. Like this can't be life, right? I can't, what I'm saying, be having to call my job and beg them and apologize that like I can't make it to work today because, what I'm saying, my back is out of there. You know what I'm saying? I looking up at my kids, what I'm saying, like, son, what I'm saying, I can't play with you right now because, what I'm saying, my back is out, looking up at my wife and being like, honey, like I can't cook nothing. What I'm saying? I can't help you out in the kitchen. I can't help you out with changing baby boy. I can't pick him up. I can't, what I'm saying? I can't do nothing. So, it was just that energy coming into this year, man. And I actually stumbled upon a video. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Rick and Zach again. But stumbled upon a video they had. This guy's name was Jason, and in his video, story was similar to mine. Back, what I'm saying, his back went out on him. I'm saying, he was down and out for weeks, and he just made this decision. I'm saying, he was gonna go 100 miles an hour. And the thing that the marketing method that he chose and that gave him so much success was one of the ones that I had attempted, which was reverse driving for dollars. I'm not sure if you're familiar or heard of that, but
That's when you find the
essentially it's
buyers
taking
first.
Nah, it's where you take these post-it notes and you take a post-it note and say, hi, I'm saying, for me, hi, my name is Raemon. I have a quick question about your property. Give me a call when you get an opportunity. You just go up to the door, stick it on the door. I watched his video, man, and he was like, listen, some of the things that frustrated me, cold calling, I hate cold calling. Like many people, I hate
Mhm.
the idea of it. I didn't have a whole lot of money to, be sending out postcards. I hated going through, the probate list and sending out probate letters. I just, it's just too much to me. But this right here, just putting that on these post-it notes required absolutely nothing. Just writing that on there, going, finding the distressed property, running up to the door, slamming that on the door. And he talked about how basically he went 100 miles an hour. He didn't do anything else. He didn't do no skip tracing. I ain't do no cold call. I ain't do nothing else. So I was like, you know what? I can do that. Right.
Mhm.
I think he said he closed like 23 deals. So as soon as I had like a little bit of, the umph in me to be able to just get up and limp around, man, I just took a stack of these joints and I went to the nearest neighborhood that was closest to where I lived. And I just went, every door that I could find, I just jumped out my car, man, and ran up to the door and slammed a post-it note on the door. So that
So at
that's
that
that was
moment, that's when you was like, when you saw that, that's kind of what snapped you into it. Of course, piling on with everybody looking at you like you're helpless. Basically, you started feeling helpless. Like I couldn't do anything to help them. Like
right,
but you saw that and was like, I got to get up off my butt, and
right,
make something happen.
100%. Yes.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, since you started leaning into it, let's go ahead and break this
Mhm.
deal down, man. And let's
Yeah.
go ahead and get into the real nuts and bolts of this.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
how much did you make on this deal?
So I made $5,000 on this deal.
Five G's.
There,
How long did it take you to
five
make?
thousand.
How long did it take from the days you got it under contract to the day that it closed?
It took, I want to say it was like 22 days. We set it up as a for a 30-day close,
Mm.
but it was we set it up for on or before, this date. So we ended up closing it. I said 22. We closed it 8 days before the 30 days was up.
So basically, what I'm hearing is you closed the deal, made $5,000 in less than a month. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but when I started working in corporate initially, like entry level position down here in Atlanta, this was years ago.
Yeah.
That was the base salary was 35,000 a year, right?
Right.
Now you take out taxes and all these different things. You talking about you making $5,000 in a month, less than a month. That's $60,000 a year if you consistently do that off of a
100%.
wholesale deal. So
Which would more than replace my current income.
right, so it only makes sense.
100%.
Yeah,
Now, it gets better though.
right. Let's talk
Because
about it. So how did you come across? How did you find the lead?
so I found the lead, this post-it note, man.
And how much did that
Th-
post-it note cost you?
this post-it notes cost me less than $1. Actually got a box of like 1,000 of them that cost me maybe $20 for the whole box.
So a $20 investment returned you $5,000 in profit.
Yes, sir.
And a little bit of time. And a little bit of time.
And a little bit of time, a little bit of limping around.
Love it. So you said you started driving around in the neighborhood and you started putting those post-it notes on just random doors, any doors. Like what made you identify which properties to put the post-it notes on?
Obviously I started with the most distressed, looking properties, faded paint, whatever wild, whatever wild stuff I could see, but stuff that looked vacant, all the typical distress signals, crazy yards, roofs, messed up, just anything I find. Because honestly, in my market, it's not it, it, the distress levels are different here. The cost of living is pretty high. So the type of distress that you find in my immediate area aren't as bad as you would find in some other areas. So I kind of had to be a little more crafty, a little more sharp with my eye as far as finding distress. This particular property happened to be one that appeared to be vacant,
Hmm.
and so that is how I ended up tagging this property.
Okay, so in your market, the houses are, higher prices probably. They
Hmm.
more well kept.
Hmm.
So the actual distress is probably not going to be how the property looks, but more so of the situation that the seller
Hmm.
is dealing with, which is
100%.
which is pretty much hard to really see unless you actually have a conversation. But you really had to kind of sharpen what you were looking at to find vacant opportunities.
100%. And also, I guess age, because there's a lot of new development out here.
Hmm.
So one of the things that kind of helped me was just looking at like like finding an area with properties that are aged a little bit more. These were like 70s and 80s builds.
Okay, gotcha. So when you first started putting these post-it notes out in these neighborhoods on these houses, tell me about that journey. Like, was it the first time you did it? Did you have to do it a couple times? Like, how long did it take for you to actually get a call back from one of your post-it notes after you started implementing that strategy?
Nah, it wasn't the first time I've done it. This particular strategy I've probably known about for maybe 6 months or so,
Hmm.
and I've tried it sporadically on and off. Over the course of 6 months, I would go to more distressed neighborhoods that were a little bit further away from my house or in other cities or whatever. And I did it sporadically. I wasn't doing it consistently. I wasn't going back to that neighborhood. What I'm saying, after hitting it one time, it was just like go through there one time, put a bunch of notes up and move on. I would get a couple of calls.
Hmm.
The biggest thing about this particular strategy is that it's probably the highest in my own experience. It's the highest rate of contact, just being able to make contact with a homeowner than anything else that I've tried thus far.
Okay, gotcha.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about this deal in particular. All right,
Hmm.
so you put the sticky note out there. How long after you put the sticky note out there did you get a call back, or you just don't really know because it's just like blanket?
Well, no, well, this particular one, because I know that, when I got up and got moving, it was about midway through the month of January.
Hmm.
I was trying to pull up a calendar here, but it's about midway through the month of January. I'm pretty sure that I got this deal under contract on the 28th of January. So if we say midway, we say the 15th,
Hmm.
but we're looking at just at about 15 days, 14 days
Okay.
um, from time of placing to getting a contact from not the homeowner, but a contact from the homeowner's ex-wife.
Wow. Okay. Well, tell us about that. So you put the sticky note out there, middle of
Hmm.
January, and you get a
Hmm.
call back from the homeowner's ex-wife. So how did that conversation go? What did they say? What did you say? And how were you able to kind of navigate that situation?
Yeah, so she reached out, of course, curiosity got her. So she reached out like, hey, I got this post-it note, on my door or whatever, just wondering what that was about. So of course, I explained, hey, myself, I'm a local home buyer in the area. We're looking to try to acquire some properties. We're wondering if you all might have some interest in, purchasing that property. And she explained to me that this property actually was not hers. It was her ex-husband's property. Um, she was helping out with the property, helping them clean the property out. The ex-husband actually had to be admitted or went into a nursing home.
Hmm.
Um, his health had his health had gotten a hold of him, so he ended up having to go to a nursing home. He reached out to her because uh, she was a cat lover and he had hundreds of cats
In the house?
and in the house.
Yeah, that's
In
crazy.
the house and just kind of roaming, right? And so he needed to figure out, since he was going into a nursing home, he needed to figure out like how to get these cats cared for. So he reached out to her, who in turn reached out to animal control. They came out and helped her out to get all the pets out of there. But then of course now he's like, all right, well I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with this house. So crazy, he actually ended up deeding the house to her
Mhm.
just because she decided to assist with these cats. She wanted absolutely nothing to do with this house. She was like, I don't want anything to do with the house, man. She was like, I just want to get it sold. So we I she invited me over. We scheduled a time to meet up, man. Again, my back was still, mind you, my back was still killing me, right?
Yeah.
And I had still went out and did, limped around and put these post-it notes up. My back was still killing me. I hit my wife up. I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm finna go and limp over there and try to stand up tall and act like ain't nothing bothering me with her,
Right.
and try to figure out what we can do about getting this property under contract, man. So what so sorry, she took me into the house. When I tell you, man,
It
smelled
stank.
like cat urine, bro.
Yeah, I know it.
All over the walls, bro. It was the worst
Ugh.
smell that I'd ever smelled before in my life.
I know
But
it. Ugh.
I would pretend like I don't even smell it, bro. I was like, I would be straight faced, like I'll be in this mother like I ain't hurt,
That's
smiling
terrible.
and grinning and laughing and having a great old time trying to build as much rapport as I could with her, man. It was a good time, bro. It was a
Yeah.
great experience for certain. But so the thing was, the two of them had been separated since 1978. They
Really?
hadn't had any contact with one another since 1978. So essentially, right after buying this home, the two of them separated and hadn't been in contact with one another. He apparently didn't have any children, and just didn't have anybody else to turn to for any sorts of assistance. So he ended up turning to her for assistance.
Mhm.
And like I said, it's weird because he turned to her for assistance with the cats, but then ended up just like, you know what,
Giving her
I'm
the
gonna
house.
deed this house to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have anything I can do with it. It's useless to me. So here you go.
Wow, that's crazy. That's insane.
Man.
Now, when it comes to like coming up with an offer and all those different things, like how did that conversation come about? Did she have an asking price she didn't know, or were you able to just provide an offer?
She didn't know at all. She didn't have a price. Again, she didn't care. Um, I wish I would have capitalized more on the fact that she didn't care.
Mhm.
Um, but what I essentially did was I reached out to I have a friend and a mentor. I reached out to him. And I was like, hey, I need some help kind of, trying to figure out a comp on this. Been sitting here, trying to comp it. And I just don't know that my numbers are right. Here's the number that I have. You tell me how close that I am. I told him, I was like, I got 160. He was like, 160 is cool. But you need to be trying to get this thing locked up at like 130.
Mhm.
Like, okay. All right. All right. All right, cool. I was like, I couldn't figure out, what my numbers were. Obviously we went back and did some numbers a little later, and he kind of showed me where I was wrong at, but he was like 130. It's like, all right, cool. So and I had told her, hey, give me a day or so and I'll get back with you, to make an offer. So next day I hit her up and I'm like, hey, 130 is what we'd like to get this property locked up at. She's like, okay. She's like, let me get in contact with, his name is Carl,
The
the
owner.
original
The
homeowner.
owner
His
of,
name is
yeah.
Carl. Yeah, she's like, let me get in contact with Carl, see what he thinks. Like, okay. Um, hits me back up that day and she was like, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get enough money to cover Carl's nursing home expenses
Mhm.
until he is able to qualify for Social Security.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, well, I still think that 130 is where we're at, but like, what are you needing? And she's like, all right, let me hit you back. So, she's like, it may be today, it may be tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, dang it, I don't know if I'm gonna get this deal. I'm starting to feel nervous.
Yeah.
So she hits me back up the next day and she's like, we need 140,000 for the deal. So of course I'm excited because I already know that the numbers are good. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Where we're at, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. 140. I'm like, all right, let me check with my higher ups. You know what I'm
Yep. Yep.
saying? Playing with that. So let me check with my higher ups. So I let her go. I give it about 2 hours. I call my mentor and I start, I was like, hey, I'm checking with you, but I'm not really checking with you. I'm calling to celebrate right now. I'm like, bro, I was like, cause she rebutted with 140. He was like, oh, bro, that's too easy. Go get it. So I'm like, all right, cool. So hit her back up, like, hey, 140 we can do. She was like, all right, perfect. Like, how soon can we get this thing closed? I was like, we can get it closed as soon as you want to get it closed. She's like, okay, well, can we do it in 30 days? Too easy. I already knew, I already knew that we could get it done quicker than that. But um, my mentor was like, hey, it's a good idea to give her 30 days because I didn't at that particular time, I actually did not have um my buyers lined up.
Mhm.
I had reached out to a few buyers, but I didn't have any buyers lined up. So he suggested we market the property. Now, let me back up. He was actually intending on purchasing the property,
Mhm.
right? Because we are kind of working the business together. So he was like, I'm gonna purchase the property. I'm gonna fix it, flip it, you know what I'm saying? And I'll get you a little money on the back end. I'll tell you about that in a second. But
Yeah.
he was like, let's use this opportunity to build your buyers list.
Mhm.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So I marketed the property on Facebook. I marketed it on Craigslist.
Mhm.
Got about 5 phone calls. People wanted to meet me at the property, go see the property. I'm like, all right, cool. This is awesome. So take the take the 5 people over. One of the guys, he's like, I'll call you back tomorrow. He's like calling my bluff, right? So he's like, I'll call you back tomorrow. I'm like, all right, cool. So I told him, I'm like, I already got 4 people lined up. He's like, all right, cool. So the next day I go and meet those 4 people at the property. Guess who shows up? The fifth guy, right? He shows up and I was like, well, I thought you said you were going to call me. He was like, I was. He was like, but I wanted to see if you were bluffing or not. I wanted to see, like, were you being honest about saying that you already had people lined up or were you just trying to bluff me?
Mm.
Interesting, right? So I'm like, okay, cool.
He got
So
trust issues.
Bruh, he absolutely 100% got trust issues. So I show all 4 of them the property. The first guy, he's like, so the number that we were saying was 160 or best offer.
Right. Okay. So you marketed to the buyers for 160. You got it under contract for
Kind
140.
right. So he says, the first one says, all right, I'll give you 165. I'm like, all right. Okay, cool. It's
Mhm.
like, well, we've already made a decision that we're gonna market this property until Friday. So by Friday, I will let you know whether or not your deal was the one that was accepted.
Mhm.
The next 3 offer me 160. I'm like, okay, they offer right at the number. The last guy, the fifth guy, the guy that just showed up, he was like, I'll give you 160 and I will let you, I will teach you the process of flipping a property. I will let you be the manager of this property. I'll let you work with my general contractor and learn the process of flipping so you understand, the cost and how all this stuff works. I'm like, okay, that's super dope.
That's interesting.
So
That's
interesting,
intriguing.
right?
Okay. That's I
Yeah.
never expected that offer.
Right, never expected that. So I hit my mentor up and I'm like, listen, I'm being offered an opportunity to, what I'm saying, not only will get the 160, but he'll, what I'm saying, let me manage the property. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna match that. I'll let
Mhm.
you manage the property, but because we agreed upon a number already, we're gonna go with that number. All right, all right, cool.
Mhm.
Now, the kicker. So I got a great offer from number 5. Number 1 hits me back and he's like, I'll give you 170. Can we close this thing right away?
Wow.
So the assignment for me in that particular deal would have been 30K.
Right.
I had already accepted 5K from my mentor
At
and friend
145.
at 145.
Mhm.
You pull that? I'm busy. At 145. I was heartbroken.
Oh
I
man.
I was heartbroken. I didn't tell my mentor. As to this day I haven't told him that I got that offer at 170
Mhm.
because I chose, to just go with, his offer for the sake of a relationship.
Right.
But that $25,000 difference, I have not been able to get it off my mind. And my wife
Oh, I know it.
my wife keeps telling me, she's like, listen, You made the right decision.
Right.
You chose a relationship over money.
hundred
And
percent
she was like, and it will come back to you
tenfold.
on the back end. Yeah.
1,000%. I think I told you that in the group too. Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
because here's the thing, right? You may have because you really don't know this buyer at all, right? You never work with him, don't know if he's going to perform. He can probably tell you I'll pay 170, and something happens and he doesn't. And now you just wasted all this time. So,
Yeah.
you kind of went with the right decision because you was able to close it and you still, like you said, you got some more to tell about, the back end.
Yeah, 100%. I've come to this space now where I have to let it go. I feel like it's something that's like weighing on me, and
Yeah.
I know that you know what I'm saying. This ain't actually what's happening, but in my head, like there's this thing where the universe is saying like until you let that go, like you're not finna get deals two through five. Like
That's that's how the universe works.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like this actually me releasing this, telling this now, like I feel
Yeah.
like now it's like okay, I'm over it now. This
Yeah.
is it. We let it go.
100%. Yeah, because
Hmm.
you can close deals, right? Like you've already
Yeah,
found that one. You can find look, I always say this. If you can get one, you can get it, you can do it 1,000 times. You know what I'm saying? If you
yeah,
can do it once, you
100%.
can do it 1,000 times. So, like you said, the money's gonna come. Your wife is right. Like you chose a relationship which is more valuable than, $20,000, $30,000 at this moment in time, right? The information and the knowledge that you're gonna get from giving up that $20,000, $30,000, essentially like you paid your costs for mentorship off of that deal. So it's like it's worth
Yeah,
it in that aspect.
yeah, nah, 100%. I accept it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
you good.
accept it.
Okay, so you made the deal with your mentor for 135,000, and then
145.
145. Okay,
Yep.
and then what was the other part of that deal between you and him?
Yeah, so the other part of that deal between he and I is I am again monitoring and managing the flip.
Hmm.
So I'm checking in on all of the work that's going on. He's whenever he comes because he actually he resides in Houston. So whenever he comes into town, we go into the property together. We kind of go over the updates, what's going on with it in the current space. He's breaking down, how much this costs, how much this costs. Here's what we're doing here. So
Hmm.
getting a lot of game. Excuse me. I don't really have much desire to flip
Hmm.
um, after knowing that, well, learning that one, we could have made $30,000 in this particular on a wholesale,
Hmm.
but two, he's estimating anywhere from 30 to maybe 40,000 that could be made after the
At
flip.
the
And I'm
flip,
like,
it
yeah,
didn't
I'm
make
like,
sense
we could have did that.
on
So
a
we could already
wholesale.
did that. And yeah, we could did it on wholesale and
Yeah.
kept it moving, but now we got 4 months, or
Hmm.
so of time that's gonna be tied up invested in this.
Yep.
But the benefit that I'm looking at for this is my ultimate goal is to build enough capital to be able to buy and hold my own properties.
Hmm.
And so I think learning this will be helpful because I can cherry pick deals that say, you know what, if I put a little bit of money into this, I can add this to my rental portfolio.
Right.
What I'm saying, it'll be a beneficial. So that's how I'm looking at this opportunity, not really looking at it like I want to fix and flip properties because I just that was enough to tell me that nah, it ain't for me.
Yeah.
It's not my exit strategy. It's not my desired exit strategy. I don't
Right.
have enough. I don't have the brain width to be investing that much time into trying to get money 6 months from now. Like just
Yep,
give
and
me
then that's
mine and let
another
me keep moving.
benefit of going with that offer, right? With your mentor is you wouldn't have known that unless you actually went through this process. And imagine if you went through the process without that information, without that knowledge, you probably would end up losing money because you didn't know anything, and
Yeah,
it was just been all frazzled. But now you're like, okay, this ain't really what I want to do,
yeah,
So now when I see opportunities, it's like wholesale or rental for me, and that's it.
yeah, 100%. Nah, 100%. Definitely gather that quickly.
Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So you got it under contract. Your initial offer was 130. The seller was like, "Nah, I don't want to do 130. We need 140 because we want to take care of his medical expenses until, Social Security kick in." Then you get it under contract for 140. You go on Facebook Marketplace. You already had a buyer in place with, your mentor, but your mentor gave you some great advice and say, "Listen, this is an opportunity to try to build your buyers list with this opportunity because people are going to want this deal. You do that. You have 5 people come look at the property, interested in the property. You get offers at 160, 165, and even 170, and you end up going with your mentor with the with the 145, along with you learning and managing the flip in the process. So you
Mhm.
end up profiting around $5,000, a little over $5,000 for the deal.
Right, 100%. Now, I want to add this one kicker.
Yeah.
She called me. She
Uh-oh.
called me on the day of the Super Bowl.
And said
I'm,
what?
I'm, she wanted to cancel the deal.
No way.
Tell, tell everybody that's involved with the process, I don't want to sell.
Wow.
Now, this
And
is
it's
I
going
don't want
through
to.
title and everything. It's
It's
going
gone
through
through
title.
title. It's gone through title. Clean title. Everything is good to go. My partner, you know what I'm saying, he's already got the money lined up. It's good to go. Now, I left this piece out. Um, there was roof issues that were discovered after.
Okay.
His suggestion, which wasn't a good one, and fortunately we were able to pivot off of this, but he was like, "Do they have homeowners insurance?" Yes, they do. Cool. Let's have them contact their homeowners insurance and open a claim on the roof. They
Mm-hmm.
can sell the property once they open the claim. You know what I'm saying? The homeowners won't care. I'm sorry. Yeah, the homeowners insurance won't care. Because the claim was opened prior to the
Them
home
selling.
being sold.
Yep.
Which I can dive into that later. But anyways, long story short, it caused panic for her. It was too much for her to be contacting, homeowners insurance, talking to people. It was too much stress.
She
Her
just wanted
thing
to be
was
done with all of
she
it
wanted
and
to
just
be
real
done
quick and
with it.
easy, no headache, nothing. Yeah.
I had to call her and pry the information from her though, because she was just like, "I'm done," and that's it. And
Wow.
I just had to like pry and kind of beg and plead, like, listen, Miss Nancy, I don't know what it is that like I did, that is creating this strain here. I mean, we're at the point where we're literally about to close in a couple of days.
Yep.
Tell me, like, if you can please just tell me what's going on. It took about 5 minutes of me kind of begging and pleading, and finally she explained that it was too stressful for her to be calling these people. She's talking to all these different people, so many different hands in the pot. She don't know who's doing what. Um, it just stressed her out, and so she was like, "I thought that when we made this arrangement, it was as is. You were buying this house as
Mm-hmm.
is." And I had to just tell her, listen, I'm gonna talk to my partner, but I'm pretty sure that this roof issue, we can overlook this issue and we can keep on moving.
Yeah.
Called him, let him know what the situation was. He was like, all right, let's just keep moving. The numbers are good. The numbers are great.
Yeah, they're great. Great numbers.
Yeah, yeah,
If you
yeah.
got people
We,
trying to pay 170 and he's at 145, you got enough money in there for a roof.
man, yeah, you got enough money for a roof. So fortunately, he was like, all right, call her back, tell her we'll take it without, with the roof as is. We'll get it closed for her next week. Man, when I tell you, bro,
Relief.
my heart sank, bro. When she called me, my heart. When she told me she wanted to cancel, my heart sank. So the relief of um, being able to get back to this space where now we're getting ready to close it, man. It I
I
almost
know it.
lost it that day.
I know it. I know it. Well, here's the thing though, right? Like she just really just got thrusted into the situation, right? Because her
Yeah,
ex-husband just said, here, handle it. And
yeah.
she's like, well, I didn't really want to I didn't want to do this to begin with. So it's like, now you telling me I got to do all this work. Now I got to do all this. I
Bruh,
didn't sign up for that. I just
bruh,
want you to buy this house and that's it. So then
bruh.
she was
Just
like,
take it.
her mindset is like, you know what? I'll find somebody else who's going to just buy it and I don't have to do all of that. Or I just won't deal with it at all. So
She was gonna get more money.
yeah, she was going to get more money from somebody else for sure.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, kudos for you for keeping that deal alive because a lot of
Man,
people are afraid to, I guess, make the call, have the conversation, and try to keep the deal afloat. You know what I mean? And sometimes, trying to save a couple $1,000s is not worth losing the whole entire deal because at the end of the day, you ultimately end up helping this homeowner, which is in
man.
a nursing home, right? You give him his money
Mhm.
so he can have funds to take care of him until he gets the Social Security stuff and straight. So kudos to you
Yeah,
for that, man, for sure.
appreciate it, brother. I needed it.
Yeah, yeah. So
I needed
congrats,
that.
man. So as we wind this thing down, um, what are three pieces of advice or some pieces of advice that you would give somebody, who is, either looking to close their first deal like you just did, or they're probably having a hard time closing the next deal? What are some things that you can kind of, based off of your experience and what you dealt with, to get this
Three
deal
things.
closed?
First, yeah, three things. First thing I would say is focus on one thing. There's if you a lot of us are YouTube University graduates, right?
Yep.
We spend all our time on YouTube, and there's just so many different wholesalers, so many different real estate investors. There's so many different strategies, and we hear all of these different things, and we want to try this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this. Focus on one thing. Do not try 100 different marketing methods. Focus on one thing. That's one thing I would suggest. Two things I would suggest is if you're going to do this, I would invest at least a year into this. Like I'm not turning back. I'm going to invest 1 year at minimum, 1 year, probably more, but I suggest investing at least 1 year into real estate wholesaling. Um, Third thing is just being relentless, man. Whatever free time that you have, I mean, especially because a lot of us have more time than we have money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I suggest investing, as much time as you can into this, and really just, what I'm saying, get rid of all the distractions. Like, if you spend an hour a day watching TV, like we need to take that hour and use that hour to something related to real estate, wholesaling, whether it be additional education, whether it be learning how to navigate your county's websites for information. But the time is mandatory. Like it is not easy when you watch it on like social media and you watch it on YouTube. It's delivered in a manner where it's made to seem easy. And what I had to learn was that like those are just seeds that are being planted, but you have to actually invest time and energy into watering those seeds,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, that would be my three things, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Invest your time.
you said something, with the time piece, like starting out, like you said, a lot of people do not have the capital, do not have the funds to be able to invest it in all these different things immediately. And your time is going to be your most valuable asset. I still believe, like as I'm getting older, I still believe that time is the most valuable asset or commodity anyways, right? So it's like what you did, right? You use your time and you went and bought $20 sticky notes, bro.
That's it.
$20 sticky notes, and took your time and went to these different properties that you felt were in situations that needed some assistance or needed to sell or whatever the case may be. Ain't no telling, you probably put out hundreds of sticky notes, countless. But all it took was that one, only one. Like I tell my team, my VAs and stuff like that, and other people in the group as well. All you need is that one. All it takes is that one person to call you. All it takes is that one person to say yes to your offer. All it takes is that one deal for you to close, to have the confidence, the motivation to keep going, right? And you
100%.
have to utilize your time. And some people aren't willing to, put in that time to go to these houses and put sticky notes on the door, go to these houses and door knock, cold call people. But in order to be successful, you're going to have to be able to talk to people. You're going to have to be able to have conversations. But the only way you do that is if you take action, get off your butt, and make something happen. You know what I'm saying? So that was a very,
100%.
very valuable piece you said there. Um, Now, what would you say? I know you mentioned a couple different things like your mentor and things like that, YouTube. Like, what would you say contributed to your success of closing this deal the most? Like, you can drop courses, people, YouTube channels, whatever.
Um, Honestly, Rick and Zach again,
Mm-hmm.
they their YouTube channel isn't for everybody, for certain. Um, they talk, they spend a lot of their energy kind of bashing other, I would say they call them gurus,
Mm-hmm.
but but the things that they're saying are honest.
Mhm.
Um, they talk to you in a manner that can be condescending to some people,
Mhm.
but for others, it's like, okay, this is motivational because like they're giving it to me raw, they're giving it to me true, real. So I would say that watching their channel consistently, until I got to a point where I'm like, okay, you know what? I've heard y'all yell at me enough. I,
Right.
I can turn this channel off now.
Right.
I don't need to consume this information anymore. I need to actually do what it is that y'all are telling me to do, which is get out there into the streets and and really, really. I think that's probably major contributor to me, staying consistent and and moving forward and really getting this deal done. And like I said, narrowing it down to one thing, like focusing on one thing. I mean, I do other marketing channels, but those other things are like at this particular point, like this is what it looks like for me. Like I got a bag that I keep with me of post-it notes, right? This is my one thing, but in the meantime, I'm trying other things. I'm taking you know, some of the different lists and things that they teach me about. And now I'm going to those addresses with the same strategy,
Strategy. Yep.
So yeah, I would say that of course, outside of real estate, man, I'm a big fan of uh, meditation.
Mhm.
Really just like staying in this space where like mentally I'm like, okay, let me talk to myself in the morning and kind of encourage myself and get myself ready because it's a grueling thing. So I
Yeah.
think picking up meditation over the last 3 4 months has been major. Just shifting who I am as a person and how I set up my days on a day-to-day basis now. So yeah, meditation, some Zach and Rick Ginn on YouTube, man. and of course and of course you, bro. Like I I can't say this enough, and I have not said thank you yet, but I do need to thank you, bro. Your Discord group, first of all, I found you on Instagram, and then I saw the link in the bio to your Discord group. Your Discord group, bro, it's a godsend. Like to be able to go into this Discord group and have conversations with people who are actively in this space, who are willing to have conversations and share freely. And I saw somebody say this the other day, but like there is absolutely zero judgment in this group. You can ask a question over and over and over, and people are going to answer it over and over and over
Mhm.
again until it hits. So that group, and I guess I should have added that to my, what I'm saying, when I said YouTube meditation,
Hey,
that
man.
Discord group, fire, bro. I thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Nah, for sure. And I think I appreciate you for being active in it, right? Because obviously there's people in there that aren't taking advantage of it, right? And there's no like it's no slight to those people, but it's like, and I tell people it's like, no, take advantage of the resources that are here. And the resources outside of the tools and all these different things, the resources that are the people that are actively doing it, the people that have experience, the people who went through the fire before, they can come
Mhm,
back and tell you they already got scarred up and be like, hey, nah, you don't want to do
mhm,
this, right? Or
mhm,
hey, that didn't work for me, but do this. You know what I mean? So, community is very important, especially like you said, this business is grueling. You're gonna have your up days and it's probably gonna be more down days than you do have up days, to be completely honest with you. But
mhm,
when you have a community like that of people that like-minded, that understand it, that go through it, that's been doing it, that's still doing it, then you can easily kind of tap back into that and be like, okay, let me get back focused. One day
mhm,
somebody might close a deal when you feeling like, I'm not good. I'm not going to, nothing's going right now. And then you be like, oh, hold on. Let me put on my headset real quick. Let me call somebody real quick. Let me find something. You know what I'm saying? So it's just those little things like that in the community. That's why I put it together, is to help people. You know what I mean? And it helps me too, right? Because I learn from you guys, right? I learn
mhm,
from the strategies that you do. I've never heard anybody say, I put sticky notes on the door and I got a deal from it. Never heard of that. But that
mhm,
might be something that I'm going to implement in my market, on particular properties as well. So
mhm.
um yeah, I appreciate you for being part of the group, man, and
Yeah, for sure.
and being active and sharing your story too.
One.
Now how can people get in contact with you, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be? If anybody wants to, kind of pick your brain a little bit or JV with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, well, I mean, first and foremost, the Discord group. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, join
Oh
the
yeah.
Discord group. Yeah, join the Discord group, message me there. But secondly, I'm primarily on Instagram.
Okay.
My Instagram is RF as in Frederick, it's my middle name, Scott, SCOTT underscore invest. Yeah, that's RF Scott underscore invest. My aim with my Instagram right now, it's in its infancy, but my goal is to essentially do the same, man. Start teaching there, start educating, and I want people to see what it looks like from beginning to end. I want them to see what it looks like when it's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, and when it starts to become fruitful and and grow into something. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, you guys heard it there. Make sure you get in contact with, it's not Ramon, it's Raymond.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I appreciate you, man, for jumping on. Everybody, if you guys found some value, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or need any clarification, make sure you comment in the comment section below. I always try my best to respond to every comment on every video. So make sure you do that. But until next time, we appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.